And there we go. I'm going to bring my friend Cathy in. And Cathy Koetsier is also what they call a home educating OG, original generation. Been home educated, well, finished home educating now technically, with grown children, but also now a home educating granny, if one wants to start pulling rank like Randall. Um, because I know you don't do all the home education, but you never undo that.
No
It's
one
always
calls me
part of you.
Granny. I'm Grand Cathy.
Grand Cathy. Okay. Now the interesting thing with Cathy is that Cathy and I have known each other actually a very, very long time. We literally lived around the corner from each other in Johannesburg in South Africa. When my oldest daughter, who is in her 30s, we won't give her age away yet, because it gives mine away, and in her 30s, was a baby, and Cathy was expecting her first child. And we saw a lot of each other then. And before they moved away, and then we moved here, everyone went different places, and then they ended up in the UK. And a few years later, we ended up in the UK, and we've been able to continue with our friendship here. And Cathy is um, certainly at the time when she was home educating, she's an unschooler, but she was specifically known for being a Christian unschooler, which was quite unusual back then, because certain circles frowned on the idea of being Christian and unschooling. So Cathy used to blog a lot about that, didn't you? You had a blog. Um, you were also involved with the Home Education Advisory Service, I think, for a time.
Yeah.
Come on, where's the credentials? Come on, credentials.
Well, we started home educating in South Africa at a time when home education was a very new freedom. And so we were instrumental in founding an organization to protect home education. We were involved with a lot of the politics around it, which was not something we were interested in, but there wasn't really an option. You had to be involved if you wanted to, like you were saying earlier, Randall, be that person who was standing between the state and your children. And very early on, I realized that I did not want to use a prepackaged curriculum for my children, because it felt like the education needs to fit the child, not the other way around. And so right from the start, I was resistant to using the traditional school curriculum, which already made me different in our fledgling home educating community, because everybody else was doing what the school said at home. And I thought, well, I want a home education. I want the education to suit my children. But I was very much a teacher, because that's the only thing that I knew. And actually, that's my natural gifting anyway. I love teaching. And along the way, I was doing like delight directed learning, and it was really fun and it was great. And everybody was having a super time. I was working really hard, preparing materials behind the scenes. And it reached a point where it just wasn't sustainable, because I had more children and I had a baby. And on top of that, one of my children started to really resist my beautifully designed lessons because she wasn't interested in what I was teaching her, even though I thought it was relevant to her. And I was beginning to really ask questions about what we were doing. And I ended up reading John Holt's amazing books. I read two of them, my How Children Learn and How Children Fail, and literally cried on every page, because inside his writings were the answers I was looking for. And I sat down with my children. I'm a bit dramatic, I make these grand announcements. In retrospect, I think I shouldn't have done that, because it did send my eldest on a bit of a trip. But I sat everyone down. I said, right, I'm not going to teach you anymore. You are going to teach yourselves. And anyway, that was how we started unschooling. And when I began unschooling, I am a Christian, and
Oh, have we lost Cathy or lost me?
and at the same
Cathy
time, I
froze.
joined Sandra Dodd's, pardon?
We lost you there briefly.
Okay. At the same time, I joined Sandra Dodd's Facebook page. Can you hear me? I see it saying my internet connection's unstable.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So I joined Sandra Dodd's Facebook page. No, not Facebook page, sorry. Email discussion list. And she was a very powerful advocate of unschooling. And people in that group began to say to me, oh, you can't unschool if you're a Christian. It was like, okay, so the Christians were saying I couldn't unschool, and the unschoolers were saying I couldn't be a Christian and unschool. And I asked somebody why, and she said, because Christians don't understand freedom. And that really shook me to the core, because what I understood was that Jesus came to give us freedom. So how is it that the perception from outside was that Christians didn't understand freedom? And that's what I began to explore. And so from that came my website and everything that I've done subsequently, really exploring how can I, within my religious framework, find that incredible freedom that was offered to us by Jesus. And well, it worked. We unschooled 5 children, all of whom are extremely successful adults, well qualified, believe it or not. A lot of people told me they wouldn't possibly be. I was told by someone that my children would be social misfits and unable to get jobs. Well, thank you. It's not true. Yeah, I mean, I could rattle on forever. You know me, I've got a lot to say. So I think one thing I did want to touch on, though, and this is probably the most important value for me in the whole process of education, is the freedom to choose. So, if you don't have the right to say no, how can you truly say yes? So yes is undergirded by the freedom to say no. And if we don't respect each other's choice to say no, then the yes is not, it doesn't actually mean anything. It's actually a very dysfunctional relationship. Just think of it in any other context. Think of your husband or your friend even. If they have to do exactly what you say, everybody would agree that that's not a healthy relationship. So why do we think that that's okay with our children? And so we really tried to explore that. How do we find this place of teaching our children the principles they need for life and helping them to get where they need to be, but at the same time allowing them space to explore for themselves what they were really interested in? And so my youngest daughter, for example, I mean, she loved the outdoors. You could not pin her down, and I'd say to her, hey, Kate, let's do some schoolwork. Let's do some reading and writing. And she'd say, sorry, Mom, I'm too busy, and run outside, because there was nature outside, and she was really interested in birds, and she was interested in the deer that were down the field. And we had horses, and she loved spending time with the horses. And so for many, many years, I found it extremely hard to get that child to do anything that looked like formal schoolwork. Today, she's a highly qualified, high-functioning adult who has just passed one of the trickiest exams you can do in the UK to become a financial advisor. So, actually her unusual education and her freedom to choose did not set her back at all. In fact, it opened the way for her. So I've got a little guy who comes here now. He's 2.5. I mean, that is so little. And he is being raised by parents who really believe in choice. And I watch this little kid, and he comes and he's so chatty. And the other day I was gardening, and he came and he helped me garden, genuinely helped me garden. Wasn't just a nuisance, was actually helping me to garden for more than an hour. This is a 2.5-year-old child. He was very, very busy and very articulate. Cathy, could you pass me the trowel, please, at one point, and helping me to plant bulbs, and helping me to pull weeds out, and helping me to dig a trench. He said we needed a trench, so we dug a trench. And it just astonished me that because it was completely his choice to participate in this activity, that his interest was sustained for as long as it was. I mean, I've raised 5 kids, but to me, even that amount of attention from a 2.5-year-old was unusual.
Yeah, wow. And I think I found that as a home educating parent, my attitude towards children changed generally. Something shifted in me from having this journey, walking this journey with my children. From maybe being a parent where you regard your role as being functional, you're doing all the things, and your children, let's go here, put your clothes on, we're doing, caring for them in that physical, practical way, and then actually really having that relationship cracked open, with them, that where you begin to see them as unique individuals, with personalities and with opinions, um, that I found just really, really precious. And it affects my relationship with other children as well, because I find I'm able to kind of appreciate other children too in a different way than I would have, before I had children.
See them
Uh,
as people.
yeah. And as you know, we fostered a little boy for about 15 months, and we saw such a change in him. And the social worker actually could not get over how this child was doing. And she, she claimed, basically that our entire family was just operating on such a high level of understanding this child and his needs and responding to him, that she just apparently never seen. And I put it down to home educating, having cultivating these relationships with children, and that being kind of throughout the family, the whole thread running through the entire family because of that. I'm
I
just
think you
looking.
become observant because you have to evaluate what is happening. How effective is what I am doing for this child? Is it working? And then you make adjustments. And it's very easy because it's so individualized and one-on-one. If you were trying to do this in a classroom of 30 children, it would be impossible. But because it's just you and this child, you can say, oh, this isn't working. Wow, they're not enjoying this book. Let's put it down and get another one, you know.
Yeah, yeah, they have agency as well,
Uh,
in those decisions. Um, and certainly I know your children. I know your youngest. I've seen her more recently, and what an absolute credit she is to you. We really were blessed to have her in our home, for my daughter's wedding. And even after my daughter got married and gone off, there was Kate helping with the cleaning and just doing all sorts of things to help, which was really just wonderful to see. And just briefly in the last few minutes, what are you doing now, Cathy? And yeah, where's the journey taken you?
wow. Home education, I mean, I home educated for 25 years and it was such a big part of my life. And when it ended, I really grieved that and I felt lost. I was like, what do I do with my life now? It was so much a part of who I was. Um, I have horses and I'm passionate about horses. So I got involved with horses and teaching horsemanship. And I feel like I'm in a transition stage again because that's kind of coming to an end. I will still have horses, but they're all old now. But yeah, I feel like I've still got more to contribute with regard to home education. I'm just not quite sure what. As everybody who knows me knows, there is a book that is in process, that has been in process probably for 20 years. I don't know if I'll ever finish it, but maybe I'll find the self-discipline to do that.
Yeah,
I still run my website, and one of my daughters is home educating. And what is amazing for me is, I had to learn everything, and I learned along the way and made a lot of mistakes. For her, it's like she's been launched from our shoulders. It's natural for her. So when I watch the quality of how she's unschooling her kids, it's like so easy for her. Things that I was quite scared to do. It's just like, well, for her, it's obvious that it works that way.
yeah. Well, she
She,
knows now.
yeah, so she and I have started a podcast, which we intend to continue developing, just talking around home education and how that works. And like so many of the wonderful people who have spoken today, the intention is really to encourage and support home educators, that they can do the job and they're very capable just because they are the parents. You
Yeah,
know, I believe so strongly that a parent is absolutely, in most cases, the best person to advocate for a child. So that is something that I will always support. But yeah, I think what I do want to say, Juliet, is this has been an outstandingly excellent day. I've spent most of it here,
I
apart
know.
from one time I had to go teach someone. Um, I'm tired. You must be exhausted.
It's been amazing though. I've been really energized by the conversations, and
Phenomenal,
it's
amazing.